All right, well, welcome back, everybody. Here I am with Matt Barbieri again.
You're lucky, or I should say I'm lucky.
Lots to talk about. We'll save some of the commentary on the World Cup. Even though this is accounting and AI, we are definitely going to veer off a little bit every week because I think what we want to do is bring as much interesting information we can to our listeners, and sometimes that'll include some analogies we can make from some of the events that are happening in real time. Today, you hosted this pretty awesome event with the Commerce and Industry Association of New Jersey, which is cool.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you a little bit about how that went, and it was focused on AI.
Right.
So a lot of relevance there. What do you say from your perspective would be the big takeaways? A lot of different speakers. Yep. So the format, was great too because you dove in on some legal issues with AI, which haven't received a lot of press.
No,
right?
And I was shocked how unaware I was of it. Not embarrassed, because I'd be embarrassed if it was like something I felt like, oh my. But it was more awareness, like, oh my God, how did I not think about this a little bit before? There hasn't been much. So the way that it worked today was there was a first panel, which was, I would say, practical utility of AI. And it was aimed at the business community, kind of, I don't want to say the age old, but kind of how should we be using it? What should we be thinking about? And thematically in that one, I would say it does run similar to what we've been talking about, we've been experiencing. A lot of dictation doesn't work, mandating doesn't work. Truly hammering home, I would say a few things, which one of which, and it felt like the most important, it was repeated regularly, is the lead by example and lead by utility. And because a lot of even the questions from the audience were, okay, I've got a group of early adopters that are really excited about this, and we've got another group that not nearly as much. So how do I cater to that audience? And the universal was lead by example, help, assist, recognize that these people are in different places, and demonstrate the utility, the productivity, the gains, and highlight the positives. So I would say that was great. They spoke a little bit about the differing models and trying to educate further, like similar to the analogy we've been using of like the Coke and Pepsi, like some are good at some things, others are good at other things. Just try them out, just test them and work on it and iterate over time. And you may find just in using multiple ones, like I like this one better and that's fine. Like that's totally okay. Questions from the crowd that might be relevant for people listening were a certain gentleman in the crowd said, when I have a junior working for me, I direct the junior, they go back and they correct things, and they come back and they give it to me. And my question is, how much time should I be spending correcting this model? Because I feel like I might not be getting the same return. And the speaker actually presented back, like I would argue the opposite. Because when you correct the human and they forget, or they come back and they make the same error again, it's really not going to happen often where your agent forgets. And that's one of the key components of the repeatability of doing this. So the advice
I think that's where I think that's what where the whole concept of reinforcement learning, right? Because as humans, that's the thing that we do learn from our mistakes, and there's that reinforcement of hey, this is how you do it, and like we're shaped, and and so like that is a part of like our brain,
right?
And so I think what you're saying is that like the AI models, and they saw this coming, as they get stronger, the reinforcement learning will become better, where the model will understand and correct itself, and
So the follow-up question the guy had was, just as I correct my junior associates, and at certain points, I've been too frustrated with correcting them and I end up firing them.
Oh, jeez. Harsh.
Do I mean, harsh, but like, you can tell we're like, so he said, do you ever fire an agent? And the panel, every one of them, universally, absolutely.
Yeah.
there's a point where either it's the incorrect model choice,
Yep.
the incorrect source, the incorrect prompting. So the nice part about it is you could try to extract the good from it and create a new one, but you're not. I think there was this thought that like if you create something,
It's
and
there
not-
forever.
yes, and it's not perfect, you're
Interesting.
stuck with this wart that's
Yeah,
on it forever,
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
never going to get there. So
That's a good
again, I don't know
question.
if people understand that,
Yeah.
but you can completely start either clean slate entirely, or you can try to draw the good out. There's a variety of ways to do it.
Yeah, very cool. Any lessons learned from the legal aspect, real quickly? Just because, again, as business owners, and people working in many different aspects of accounting, oftentimes are responsible for some of the human resources aspects of it, the employment aspects that go along with whether it's the recruiting, whether it's just the everyday usage, or even when you have certain issues with what you're producing and if you're going to have content coming out of AI. So what were some of the things that you learned?
Interesting, because I hadn't spent a lot of time thinking about this before. A couple different topics that really for me were important. On the HR side, I would say I had never thought about the idea that using a model for any kind of work in that world could be viewed as discriminatory, because if you're using an LLM to, let's say, one of the cases that was brought up today, I'm going to be paraphrasing a lot of this because there's a lot of information coming in, was resume sorting.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've both done it. I'm sure a lot of people listening have done it, where you've sorted resumes and you've had your manner, but you were responsible for that. And a word that came up regularly today throughout the talk was accountability.
Okay.
And if you offload that accountability to sort the resumes to an LLM, if you don't understand how it's making that selection, or you haven't directed it appropriately, there's a form of discrimination that's taking place that you might not even be aware of, but you're responsible for. So there was that side, which was interesting, and I hadn't thought about it. The next thing was addressing AI usage at companies. And
so wait, go back to just so that we can, I think, tie a ribbon a little bit on that first part, which I think is important. So the way you framed it was, we used to have our individual. I always go to Lori Graham. Remember her sitting in her cube with like piles of resumes and sorting through.
You'd be like, "How do you do this?"
What do you?
Right?
Yeah,
She had a method.
Yeah, she did. So you had the human behind that is accountable, and now we're seeing more and more usage of letting the AI, I guess, in a way, we're inputting resumes and they're coming back and maybe matching up and doing what the person was doing before as the human being that's solely responsible. Now we're saying there's a human being feeding this information into the AI model, and the AI model is coming back with, I guess, recommendations or who would make the cut, who wouldn't.
Correct.
Okay.
And
okay.
it carried over into entering characteristics of people and trying to learn more about the individual based upon the LLM's interpretation of what you learned during that process. And again, you're relying on the output of something that you're not controlling, or maybe not fully understanding, or not directing.
So how can you use it? What are the permissions? I guess it would be like the permissions that are needed.
Yeah. Came down to prompting. Like, you need to be very clear about what you're looking for. So it was always okay what Lori was doing. If we go back to Lori, and we're just going to stay there because I like that. She was so nice. She still is so nice, I bet. Is she knew WIS. She knew everything about us. She knew the way we operated. She knew what we were looking for. She knew the characteristics. So Lori effectively was trained, in addition to her professional training, in what we wanted. Mm-hmm. And if I was to take that and put that into the use of an LLM, there would be work done to do that same exact thing with the LLM about what's important to us, and to maybe explicitly say things that we are not interested in making any determination on. So removing the ability to discriminate based upon, again, we don't know how it's discriminating. We don't. And, I don't know that anybody does.
Yeah. So is there any recommendations that the speaker had around for organizations that are doing this? How
the words that were used were like harnessing and constraining. And so again, leading it to do exactly what we want it to do, and directing as opposed to leaving it to its own devices. So I would say that those were the words that were kind of used across spectrum. with this as well as other issues that have come up.
Yeah. It's interesting, just as an aside, just have like a thought as we were talking here, that we haven't seen more of this in the press.
Not much on the legal side of things, funny enough. Not much.
So it is going to be interesting how this all shakes out in a way. And then as, I guess, cases get decided, there'll be more news, apparently.
That was another theme from when we had the legal experts speaking, was there's not a lot of case law here.
Yeah.
And there's, funny, one of the things that we'll talk about, but I want to get to one issue before. It was like humorous and good and funny in the way that it's being thought about today. But kind of immediately following that HR-related topic was the idea of a policy around AI usage. And question was asked at the outset, how many are utilizing AI? And we had this similar conference last year, and I was there, and it was probably 50% of the room, and it was definitely 100% of the room. And the questions went deeper, like, are you using multiple models? Yes. Have you developed an agent? Yeah. Like, it was like you could just see, even within this room, how much more use there was. And then the question came, how many companies here, how many people here are aware that your company has an AI policy? And it was a handful, small handful. And then it was, if you do, are you aware of what it is and what it constrains and what it allows? And it was very, very, very few people. And so that was identified by that segment as something that's concerning.
Okay.
Because you're creating potential liability by not having an AI policy. And additionally, people are going to use this tool. So there was a lot of demonstration about it's being used in products you might not even be aware of yet. So you're using it. Your people are using it. And if you don't give them an avenue to use it, they're inherently going to use their personal device or their personal account, and they run the risk of potentially entering information into this less secure environment that you wouldn't want there. Mm-hmm. So the first recommendation was enterprise account, team account, and the second was to create and train on a policy and what do we expect and what do we allow. And I think that one makes like purely logical sense, but it was just interesting that the grand majority had not done this.
Right. Yeah, I think it's interesting in this, and I think it's also representative of what's good about America, that we go first and then, and then we figure it out later.
Ready, fire,
I think
aim.
there's something really valuable about that as a society that we don't want to lose, where you don't want to over legislate before. Yeah. But I think at this point though, it's appropriate to start looking to all this. Like, I do think it's like, okay, this is here. It's here to stay. Let's get our act together around making sure we are buttoned up.
That was what was made clear today, is there's real risk.
Yeah, and I think what that's going to, hopefully we'll start having some more clear ways of protecting ourselves as companies, to be like, okay, here's like sort of the best practice for now. And of course that's going to change as the models change and everything else changes, how the usage increases or, just gets changed and how we use it.
Sure.
But
funny you use that word protecting, because that really leads to the third theme that for me was the most humorous part of today. Yeah. There was a lot of good content, but questions came up about there was 1.5 intellectual property attorneys on the panel. So there was one who was professed to be full-time intellectual property, and then a woman who had said she was about 50-50.
Okay.
So we had pretty good expertise up there. And the case that got me, it just like stuck me, was she referred to it as the monkey case. And that, no matter what you're doing at a conference, you hear that, you kind of look up and you're like, what the?
Yeah.
So this was a case where a monkey was given a camera and took photos, and the owner of that camera tried to copyright those photos. Don't ask why or any of that unimportant stuff, but they did. And ultimately it was found that they were unable to copyright the photos because they weren't created by a human.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So that was decided.
Interesting.
And because
Did they give a year when this was?
No, and that's a good question.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I mean, look, it has to be pre-iPhone,
I mean,
right? Because you're going to developing pictures. But
I'm also just really trying to figure out.
I want to know, like, where this happened. Was it a zoo and the monkey picked the camera up? Was it, like, out in the middle of the...
And what prompted you to copyright this?
Yeah,
it's
like,
not
what...
cheap
what,
to get
what
these things done.
I mean, the only thing you could think of would be, like, I'm going to have these pictures that I could say are... taken by a monkey.
Was it Coco? Oh, was Coco a monkey? Coco was a gorilla.
Was it?
She was the very famous
no.
one.
She was. Was she a gorilla? Yeah, I think so. And then I get the panda names messed up. Yeah.
But so in any case, that's settled. That in order to achieve a copyright, it needs to be created by a human. And if you just simply take that and overlay it with AI. The question becomes how much AI was utilized in creating this underlying piece of content, whatever it is, and is it enough to warrant a copyright? And that is I asked the question of the panel, and it's still, you could see it remains fuzzy. They said with absolute clarity, if you take the output from the model, nope, no protection. But then it begs the question.
Yeah.
Like, okay, but I'm directing the model.
Right.
And receiving back.
Editing.
And iterating. And coming back and iterating. So it's still not settled, and we're not going to settle it in this discussion, nor I don't believe, it's pending.
Is there, it's going to be interesting to see how the first case gets decided, I guess. Well, so nothing has been decided yet in the AI world?
Nothing of note. And I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but the keynote presenter was Angelo Straquatanio from Apprentice.
Yeah.
And at the conclusion of his presentation, a member of the audience raised the question. Actually,
what is I wanted to ask you about the keynote. So tell us what Apprentice even does. Like,
yeah, I'll wrap this one because this is going to put the bow on the intellectual property thing, and then we'll go into Angelo because it was awesome.
Right.
So the question was asked of Angelo, hey, all this came up, and you said during your presentation that your software developers now use AI for 100% of their coding. So what have you done in terms of...
Interesting.
Right, in terms of patent? And he said, okay, it's a very interesting question, and one I've dealt with much as a business owner. As a business owner, I need to protect what I've created and what my team has created. So I do file patents, but the truth is the USPTO moves at a certain speed and we move at a certain speed. And those two things are never in alignment. Mm-hmm. So no matter
I know which one moves faster. Yeah.
No matter what, we're never actually protected. And so what that means is we just need to execute continuously.
Yeah.
Because
I think that is
my competitors are using it.
Yeah.
And so that was his take.
I mean, I think that's a winning mentality.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of the winning mentality, he was excellent today.
That's what I've heard. I wish I was there for that. Yeah.
The brilliance that he's able to bring is demonstrated by the ability to break it down into something that even like moron could understand.
Yeah, they always say. I mean, Einstein always talks about that.
Yeah. So Apprentice started out as like the first real augmented reality solution that had a commercial purpose that I had encountered. Mm-hmm. And so in its original days, and I'm going to screw some of this up because I'm not a scientist, was that bioreactors are subject to a certain amount of flux. And when companies are aging drugs in a bioreactor, the FDA is not concerned if the drug failed because of the failure of the bioreactor or it just failed. It's a yes or no, right? A, B. And so there's a certain amount of loss when there's a challenge with a bioreactor. And companies had tried to solve this for a long time by putting like people there that could service these machines. Again, these things go on for like months at a clip. So what Angelo had done was generated software that was able to, through using, at that time, I think it was Google Glass, to look through and see the machine. And then automatically to the manufacturer of the machine. A lot of them, I believe at that time, were in Italy or Germany.
Okay.
And have the tech be able to work at the direction of somebody that was many thousands of miles away with the direct knowledge of this machine and what could potentially go on. And over time, they've iterated into, a complete manufacturing platform where their technology is being used to direct the production of big pharma companies. So it works, the agentic system works to dictate a variety of activities that take place on the production floor. It's consistently troubleshooting, it's consistently working against alarms. So things like, if you think about a factory floor and take out all of the things that are the strict regulation of the FDA, just think about a regular manufacturer, those alarms go off and it's like the line is down. And without anything, you go find your guy, Rich, he could fix this. Yep. That's real life. That's the way that things happen. And, Rich can't figure this one out, so we got to go to the manual. Yep. We got to find
and then you may have to call the manufacturer in.
Correct. Yep. Well, this is doing that autonomously at all times. And when there's a breakdown, it immediately is able to pinpoint what it is. It's able to extract the piece of information that's necessary in the steps to rectify the situation. And it's able to lead a human to go fix that thing. So it's now at the point where the software, I think he referred to it as 4142, is becoming predictive in what is going to happen.
It's able to see the weaknesses.
Yeah, so it's getting to a pretty exceptional level where,
that's awesome.
And I'm not paying it any due or justice of what it truly is, but that's my understanding of what it's done. And the client list is exceptional. It's all of Pharma Alley in New Jersey, and it should be all of Pharma Alley, New Jersey, if it's not, as well as globally.
Awesome. All right. Any other lessons from today?
Yeah, the big takes from Angelo that cross. So we always speak about accounting and AI, and that's what we do, right? So that's why it's so naturally there. And when you started this talk today, you were like, we're going to talk about a variety of other things, and it was cool today to get across, like, okay, the legal exists, and that's a whole thing. And then we had other people today from other pieces of production, and then Angelo brings in operational, and it was like, okay, I'm getting a broader view. Angelo used a word that I will now embrace as we go through this evolution, and I don't believe you've thought of it or heard of it before. If you have, I'll be interested, because I hadn't. And he used the word grieving. And the word he used was to describe how AI is accepted into a company. And he said there is a true grievance process for your real professionals as they accept AI. And what I mean by that is our lead developer, and this is him speaking.
Yeah.
We'll call him Bob. And he says, Bob's not his name. It's for, to protect the innocent. Bob was not in favor of AI. We're an AI company. Was not in favor of utilizing it for, our own production in-house of our own software. And it took some realizing to get to the point where I understood that this guy spent, 4 years of college, 2 years in a graduate program, 20 years of work experience to become an exceptional coder.
Yep.
And now had to accept the fact that this thing's better. And so there's a loss. It's an actual loss and an understanding. And he's like, the nice part about it, the beautiful part about it, is that through the other side of the grieving process, what I was able to demonstrate to him, and I'm able to demonstrate to you here today, what he pulled up on screen was their headcount in software development over time, overlaid with the releases of the different large language models. And what he said the understanding is, or the evidence from their company alone, is that each developer was able to produce, I don't know the terms of this, so I'm going to make them up, 2 features. Those features were linear, and they were not concurrent. So you'd work on a feature, you'd have UI, UX, you'd have a variety of, and then you'd be able to work on another one. He said today, the average employee, the average developer is handling 10 concurrently. So our direct return is 7x per software engineer. They're just as busy. our headcount has skyrocketed, and he was able to point to where Claude, the most recent, was released, and their headcount increase is exceptional, and they're still hiring. And he's saying like these are tremendously positive signals that this utility increases productivity, increases the value of a true developer that's able to orchestrate and review and in like really harness the use of the technology. Yeah. So it was exciting to see that. But when he said that we actually had meetings and we explained to people, you have something like 30 days to grieve the loss of your position.
Interesting.
And I need you to adopt, and I need you to get over that. And you're gonna get over it, but we accept that you need to grieve this. Yeah. This is a true emotional experience.
I think, that's a wonderful story that an illustration, a real illustration. And I think, because it does get to the root of a lot of the craft of what we do, right? So whether that's in software, anything that you can look across where they're saying AI is going to have such a huge impact on people, accounting, legal. And so for us, I think, you worry about this is the craft that you've harnessed for so long, right? These are the skills that have made you who you are. These are all of that work, all that effort,
Yeah.
With your hands,
it's
a
true.
lot. It's real.
It hit me when
I love that.
It.
I think, it's really well put. And I think out of that, though, which is great, is that he has a real life example of the outcomes, like the better outcomes from letting go of that feeling of that grief, right? That, like going through this grieving process is a better, on the other side.
Better end state.
Yeah, I love that. I really think that's important right now. Which is going to lead us to our next. We got to talk about the World Cup. How do we not talk about the World Cup? As you know, I'm a rabid, soccer fan, and especially as it relates.
You're rubbing off on me.
Yeah. Look, I'm hoping that most people have been able to kind of get a taste of what the game is all about. And just, I think, the connectivity of the World Cup is so awesome. The multiculturals, the people coming together, just that feeling of just unifying people around something. Yeah. Which has been wonderful. Yeah. Right. Whether it's the Norway row.
It was so cool to see. By the way, we've spoken about it many times, like belonging. Belonging. Like
it's just so evident, and how it's been missed in a way, right? So talk about like grieving in a way. It's that I wish we could all just grieve away what COVID was and what life was after COVID, what it's been, and just get back. That should be the new norm.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I think the desire for human connection is gigantic.
It is.
And it's not that it's grown. No. It's that it's been missed for a period of time, right? So it hasn't grown. It's always been. Yeah. And it's just a matter of now embracing it again and realizing like, oh my gosh, how good
experiences matter, moments matter, right?
Yeah.
So that to me has been like the best part of it. And I think the other thing is just people seeing the United States of America in a different light.
By the way, have you felt some nice pride?
Oh God, yeah.
Right?
We're a great host, by the way. We are a phenomenal host.
We are.
Yeah.
I am so happy to see like individual interviews of people. And it's funny because you would think it'd be the opposite, but they're shocked.
Yeah.
How either nice, safe, welcoming, all of those adjectives are the United States is.
Right.
And they had been fed the belief forever that it was unsafe, like all of these things, like completely lacking culture, completely lacking life.
Yeah.
And just, I can understand that. Sometimes you look and you're like, oh, America is. And then when you hear from the outside, you're like, yeah, no, this is really prideful. This is really nice.
It is. And probably a lot of them didn't have to get into a car and experience our highways and what it's like to drive around here with some of the drivers. But the reason I'm saying it is like I saw my daughter earlier before. She was telling me she got stuck behind a tractor.
Yep.
And was scared to like pass the tractor. So there's person was behind her. It was a guy, and he's ultra aggressive, honking, and like she didn't know what to do. And so like the person goes around and like has to like stop next to her and give her the middle finger.
Just has to let her know. It's
yeah. So
awesome.
So that side still exists, but no, it was great to. I think for everyone, I mean, the experience has been wonderful. I think it was so good for the country.
Yep.
It was so needed.
Yeah.
So with that though, I think as we talk about the American team for just a few minutes here. Still in my grieving period, but I think one of the things that it does relate to AI, right? And I don't know why we have to do this or why the press has to do this, but like for fans like myself that have been on board for a long time. For me, I really first became involved in the national team in 1990 because that was like the first time they kind of really emerged into the World Cup scene. And they actually did a good. I mean, they had a decent showing in 1990. In 1994, we hosted.
Yeah.
So that was like I think that just got the ball rolling in the right direction for soccer. But we made it to the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
We made it to the 16th.
I didn't realize that, by the way.
And we only lost 1-0 to Brazil. We had a chance. There was a couple chances we actually had. And it was interesting when Brazil talks about, because they won the World Cup that year, they talked about, well, what was one of the hardest games you had to play? And they were, oh my God, USA. It was one of the hardest games we had to, like, Did
they get into why? Like, was it the competition?
It was just, I think it was just the intensity with which our players were playing at, right? Which was so disappointing the other night to not see that, right? And I think, so for me, what bothers me as a fan that's been along this journey has been these questions like, why not us? Like and believe and hope and like the stupid chant, I believe we can win. Like if we're still doing that chant, I mean, again, like I think a lot of people forget, like in 1994, we met the moment.
Yeah.
We did not meet the moment 32 years later on our home turf with way more support. I'm telling you, like the LA, I think they played that in the Coliseum, and I'm sure it was not all American fans.
Oh God, yeah.
So, anyways, it's very frustrating. But I think but it was almost like they just want to build hype, right? They just want to build hype. And it was interesting in the same week that there was this big deflation of we're not there, and I think it was good for us to lose that way. And I think the world needed it to happen too. There was a lot of people that were angry at us after the phone call. So look, I was totally fine with having him play because I felt like it was an injustice to him.
I agree.
And I just felt like it's him. It's like, so I have nothing to do with, like, I don't like any of that stuff. I wish it was done earlier and everybody was like understood it more. Or had chance to understand it more, right? Like it was like, hey, that red card shouldn't have happened, and we have this rule, but like for it to happen the way it happened,
is terrible.
I mean, we were like, I'm sure that factored into the situation a little bit.
Well, we're looked upon so favorably globally.
That's the problem, because because they were like the interesting thing is we've been such an underdog for so long, and it's a team to really like. They're likable people on this team, And so like a lot of the fans that were from other countries that were adopting us, just like we're adopting Norway, a lot of people, right? They were all of a sudden like I hope they get smashed, But my point is, in the same week, there has been a backlash lately against the models of like the two big companies of AI and bearish thoughts on these business models of AI. And Karp from Palantir had like a meltdown about these companies as well.
Yeah.
So that's what's interesting is almost the hype is there's a pin that's hit that balloon.
I mean, did you listen to who was
CNBC?
It?
Yeah.
It feels eerily reminiscent of when people talked about the internet bubble.
AOL.
And there was demonstrably a bubble in certain things.
Yes.
I feel like a major difference right now is that these are infrastructure plays. And if we look at infrastructure back then, right? That might be a good corollary, but even if we do, it's not the same. They're not the same.
They're not.
Right?
They're not.
So I don't know. No one knows. I don't know what there is to come of this, but something is incorrect in the business model and not sustainable long term without some material changes, right? I think that's the truth.
Yeah.
If you can just look at if the data was correct, which we presume it is.
Yeah, I think from a good point of view. Again, this would be, if we analogize just as the fans that have been along this painful journey for many years. You need the other side talking that way. You do need another side of the conversation that is given airtime, that is given a chance to say, is this really going to work?
Yeah.
Meaning, is this sustainable?
Right.
Because it's so expensive. And you're also feeding in your data into this where you're basically giving these companies a lot of valuable information, and how are they going to go about using that information? And if you become dependent upon it, what is it actually going to end up costing you in the long run?
That's a real
right?
fear that I speak to people about, I would say somewhat regularly, is this like
am I
a drug?
hostage? Yeah.
Where I'm getting hooked right now,
Right.
and then all of a sudden this is just going to be out of sight. And all the talk that you get from Wall Street is like, oh no, token declining, right? Pricing declining. And if you bake that talk in with the data that we just saw on the large models that was released, those two things can't be true.
Right.
It's not sustainable. I mean, they lost $31 billion. Like, you think about $31 billion of loss on $10 billion of revenue. The revenue's got a 4x for this thing to start making sense. How's the revenue 4x if the cost per unit is declining so drastically that it's spoken about like it's going to drop through the floor? It doesn't make sense.
No, and I do think it's going to be interesting. So I think this is going to be a period of time where this starts to take more shape and form, because you also have these companies that are starting to get pushed back again from shareholders. Like Microsoft stock has been hit pretty hard, and like questioning, is this spend going to be worth it? Are you going to get the return? Over time. I know, smoked.
45%.
I mean, so there's a pushback happening, which is going to be healthy, right? I think healthy, and I do think it's going to be interesting to see even how the large models are starting to position themselves, because they do have to make money at some point. And it just can't be through charging more.
It brings back the funny thing, though. Remember, if you recall, like the late 90s, it was the no business model.
Yeah,
like they don't have a business, right?
And it's it's eerily similar from, I just think, like the way I've been thinking about it, and we'll start to wrap here, is just I think this is way bigger than the internet. Like way. I mean, it is a fundamental change in how business is going to get done, right?
Yes.
So I'm not at all like becoming like off this bandwagon. I'm completely on the band.
Yes.
But what I'm trying to gain a sense of is like, where are we going from here, right? Because I felt like I had a very good sense, and always changing, of course.
Sure.
But I do feel a little bit like, like I'm at a moment where I feel very like I need to get more information here.
I had the same reaction.
Yeah.
Like, it raised a lot of questions for me when I saw that, as to the validity of the model, and then understanding a roadmap to like, okay,
how does this go, right? Because the way I look at it is like, remember, they were sending AOL discs out. Remember that? And you would get them in the mail, right? And you would just sign up, and there was no fee. Right, there was you would get a couple months, whatever the program was, right? Eventually, you started paying, and then there was this whole threat, like, well, cable's going to undo it, and then satellite was going to, but like that. None of this really played out the way they thought it was going to play out, and those were the companies back then that had a lot of value. Yeah, the AOLs of the world. I mean, unfortunately, what happened to Netscape with the browser and all. But again, it's going to be very telling this next year. This next 6 months into the following 6 months.
Right.
what emerges out of here, what shape and size of these companies, like these two big models right now.
Yeah, they're behemoth.
Yeah.
And
other technologies get developed, right? Other models. Because there was something I just read recently, and we'll wrap up here. But I just saw today, like a Khosla ventured model company or whatever that has something for the iPhone. And I don't know anything more than just a headline.
Okay.
But again, what I'm ending on is we're definitely hitting another. There's something next here.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I think it was a really important piece that CNBC
Me too.
ran because it's raising questions. And like you
Yes.
said, you need the to end up with a healthy product, a healthy whatever we're looking for. You need to think about the other side of it. So obviously neither of us are ever settled, nor will we be. But it has me thinking differently for the first time in a little while on the business model of these things.
Me too. And so to answer that, I think like for the USA, why not us? It's because you don't have good enough players. We'll leave it at that.
Oh,
it's the truth.
Yeah.
It's the truth. You know, it's interesting. Like real quick, it's just about like because there's so many learning lessons from the World Cup, but like, why not us? Is because we don't have good enough players, and we didn't have a plan B. Because when you look at again, like actions always win, right? Just look at what's been happening with this team. For 2 years, we could not beat the great teams.
Yep.
We beat all the teams we should beat. Every time we go up against a team that's better, we can't beat them.
Yeah.
And when you looked at what to me was we played the exact game that we played against the teams we should beat. We played against players that were better than us, trying to match them to that game.
Right.
And that's just like a great strategic lesson for business. Like you
Interesting.
can't do that. And what I would have done is play direct. I would have not have been trying to play out. And plus, you could see with our players, they were so like paralyzed from the moment. I would have been like, we're going direct.
Yep.
We're going to get into a defensive shell. We're going to play the way we're going to try something different because we can't match you.
Right.
But
So
we're
missed
so
the strategy
stubborn.
in
We're so
addition?
stubborn.
Is
Like
that it?
you know what it is. Like the problem is what's happening with American soccer. Right. I got to wrap. But the problem what's happened with American soccer is that American soccer has never had its own identity. Okay, and it tries to be like everyone else. Like we're trying to be. Like for a while, it was like Germany was like the king. Okay, like of course Brazil for years was, but then like Germany all of a sudden was like. So let's try to play Germany style. And then it's like Spain now, right? It's like Spain is phenomenal and technically like crazily good. We can't, but we keep trying to play that way. And we're asking players that are not capable of doing that against teams that are super capable. And I just found like for the first time, though, I felt like against the teams that we should beat, we were attacking finally, which felt good. It felt really good to see that. But we're not able to do that yet against the best teams.
Right.
So you have to have a different approach. And it's okay to have two approaches. You could say, look, what? We're going to play that way against these other teams because our players are better than those players. But when our players are not as good as those players, we're going to accept that maybe we have to be more defensive.
Right.
You know? So anyway, let's wrap.
I love the passion, honestly.
Yeah.
I can listen to somebody that's passionate about quilting for a long time. I love to learn. So I'm very happy to do this.
All right. Great week. See you next week. That's a wrap on This Week in Accounting AI. If you found this useful, make sure to follow us. On Spotify, smash that follow button on our show page. And on Apple Podcasts, tap the plus sign and leave us a quick rating while you're there. I'm Paul Peterson. See you next week.